Welcome to the episode of the new expansion of consciousness. And I should say new because we have a new guest today, but we're going to dive, directly into the transformative world of energy, coaching with Gabrielle Pimstone. Gabrielle is a seasoned expert in psychology and spirituality, and she combines her profound knowledge with practical energy mastery to help individuals navigate through major life changes. After a remarkable 25-year journey in corporate human transformation, Gabrielle experienced a profound awakening that led to her becoming a certified energy master. And I know you guys on this show love the energy teachers, so we can't wait to meet with Gabrielle. But she specializes in advanced sacred geometry, which she describes as Reiki turbocharged. Today, she shares with us how tuning into the right energetic frequency can unlock personal growth and realign our lives. Join us as Gabrielle explains how small, consistent habits can lead to monumental changes in our well-being. And we're going to go ahead and bring Gabrielle on right now. 1 second. Hi there, Gabrielle. How you doing?
Hey, Jason. It's really great to be here. I'm really great. Thank you. Dialing in from Sydney, Australia.
All right. And you have that beautiful accent. And I'm just going to sit here and just melt as you talk because you just sound so eloquent. But we're going to have fun today. And we were talking a minute ago. We were both sharing that, energy healing runs in our blood. And I'm excited that you're here. But I want to hear from you starting off, what led you to become an energy healer? Um, all the way from the initial moment you knew it up until now.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for that, Jason. Yeah, ever since I was a young child, I was interested in psychology and spirituality simultaneously. At age 7 or 8, I started tracking my dreams. And there, if you believe in Jungian dream therapy analysis, you'll understand that it's a very spiritual practice. And I remember having my very first dream that awoken me to the unconscious, and that got me interested in psychology as well. Then my father passed away when I was 9, and about a year afterwards, I asked my mom if I could go and see a medium. And she said no. And so, because I was searching for answers, at a young age, why was it that my dad was taken? So what I did after that was I put spirituality on the back burner. When it came to going to university, it was a no-brainer. I studied psychology and then embarked on a really enjoyable, nearly 3-decade career in organizational psychology and human transformation. But I had intermittent experiences, spiritual experiences in that time that I pushed aside. I was afraid. What happened was in the pandemic, I woke up one Sunday morning. I was in a senior leadership role in a bank of all places, and I was deeply stressed. The anxiety was actually overwhelming. It affected my physical well-being. My thyroid had flared up again. I wasn't sleeping. I'd isolated from the world, and I went for a walk, bushwalk, put on my AirPods, and I listened to somebody talking about anxiety on a podcast. And there were a few words that she said in that podcast that really awoken me to like the invisible spiritual prison that I'd been living in. She was talking about having lived for many years waiting for the other shoe to fall. And that was my experience. Since my dad passed away, my entire life was caught up in waiting for the next tragedy, waiting for the next trauma. And in that moment, I realized I'd been living in this invisible spiritual prison. And the bars had kept me trapped in this ongoing cycle of anxiety, dread, trepidation. And there was just a moment where I realized I no longer wanted to change. I actually needed to change. So it was a combination of the physical ailments I was feeling, the constant anxiety, and I decided then and there on that walk that I was going to do something about it and change my life. So that was the first kind of coincidence. The second one was couple of weeks later, I was on Instagram, and in my feed, there was an advert that came up. I'd been asking for those couple of weeks, what's my next modality? How do I shift gears? And an advert came up for a long weekend workshop and talking about energy. The guy seemed compelling. I joined the workshop, and he landed up becoming my spiritual teacher. So it was a confluence of deep disappointment in my career. At the end of it was just really trying, a lifetime of anxiety, and an ongoing interest in spirituality that was then coupled with a couple of real signs from the universe that I needed to move in that direction.
Wow. So beautiful. And you talked about thyroid, and I'm also a quantum healing hypnotist, QHHT, taught, the school of Dolores Cannon. And you mentioned thyroid, and typically when we have our patients, and we have them in the state of trance, and we started asking questions. Most of the patients that have the thyroid issue that come to us, um, the answers that are coming back from the subconscious mind, always the response is that your voice was not heard, even if you're speaking, even if you
Yes.
are trying
Yes.
to share your pain or whatever the case may be, not
Yes.
being heard. So that's
Yes.
obviously that struck a bell. And those are the answers we get back from our clients while they're in the somnambulistic state.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Jason, because the way that I've been working with it from my lens is that's where the throat chakra is. And the throat chakra is the seat of our expression,
Mhm.
our creative expression, but also our self expression and our authenticity. So a kind of similar viewpoint coming from slightly different vantage points, where there was something around not giving voice to my true self. And that's been the work that I've done ever since I had that awakening, and really stepping into an environment where I can freely express who I am. I mean, I worked in very stuffy corporate environments. And, I worked on the fringe of things. In the field of psychology, you can push the boundaries a bit, but there was very limited opportunity for me to really live my truth. So I think it's right. The throat chakra as well is the seat of expression. And that's, I think, why I had that particular disease. Graves' disease it
Exactly.
was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so Gabrielle, can you explain what energy mastery is, and how can it benefit individuals that are going through this life transition?
Well, I'll start by saying that energy is everything, as you
Mhm.
probably know. And,
Yeah.
our thoughts, our beliefs, the stories we tell ourselves, our emotions, everything has an energetic frequency. Everything is actually just energy. And so the way that I've worked it out is that there are five, if you want to master your energy, it's actually, because everything is energy, it is the fastest, it's the most expedient and efficient way of working through deep blocks. And there are five pillars that I teach people to mastering their energy. The first element is to understand your energy. Everything comes with awareness. So being able to tune into your energy, understand whether it's heavy or light in any given moment. What are the triggers that dip your energy, that regress you, bring you back? So that's the first component, understanding your energy. The second component is how to protect your energy. That's a big one. A lot of people are really interested in that because we're bombarded with so much information. And, we're living in a world where we are connected at an energetic level to people, places, experiences. So I teach people how to protect their energy.
Okay.
The third part of it is how to clear your energy, how to release deeply held blocks. And so that's the third part, clearing your energy. Fourth pillar is how to maintain a high vibrational frequency, because our energy dips. And then the fifth part is how do you optimize your energy? We've all got this latent potential, latent gifts that are lying dormant in us. And I teach people through this work, how do you expand your energetic capacity and activate your dormant potential? So it's those five pillars.
Yeah, and that's pretty good foundational understanding of energy mastery. So people listen closely to Gabrielle because she's giving you the basics of it, and it's intriguing though how these practices can really dramatically shift a person's life trajectory. I mean, especially during tumultuous transitions in their life.
Yes. Well, that's right, because everything that we experience in life has an energetic inception point, an energetic component, and an energetic root. So, as we go through life, things happen to us. A lot happens to us in our childhood, as we all know.
Mhm.
And, when we go through experiences, traumas, whatever they may be in our childhood, we don't have the cognitive capacity to work through what's happening. And so, when we experience something, the energy doesn't just disappear. As you know, energy doesn't disappear, it has to be transmuted and released. So when we don't do that, the blocks form, they get stuck in us, and they become repetitive patterns, repetitive ways of responding to the world, of thinking about ourselves, others, and the world around us. And so when we are adults and we're going through hiccups, when we're going through change, when we're going through traumatic events, those things rear their heads again. The energetic frequency comes up and it runs the show. And so what I teach people is how to release those things that are holding us back, those patterns of energy that remain stuck in us, so that we can traverse our lives with greater ease and greater joy, I guess, as well. Because when we go through change, it triggers a lot for us, and so I work with those triggers, help them release, and so people can move through these big transitions with ease.
I guess the biggest piece of this to me, and we got a lot more to talk about, but a
Yeah.
27-year corporate career to become an energy coach. And I just got to tell you, that must have been a significant shift for you. And then also just hearing about your journey just provides great inspiration for others out there that's contemplating some sort of transformative life change, and to be
Yes.
able to help them release and understand
Yes.
how to um, uh, control this process of releasing and understanding their energy has to be gratifying, Gabrielle.
It's really, really gratifying. And Jason, it wasn't an immediate move. I'd been miserable in the corporate world for about 5 years. I'd been sitting, feeling really stuck, but not feeling like I had any choice. And a lot of my clientele actually have been from the corporate world, because it's all through word of mouth. And a lot of people have come to me feeling similarly stuck, but feeling unable to get off the starting blocks. That fear of getting off the starting blocks is one of the big barriers that we have to overcome when we're wanting to make courageous change. And so I help people, work through that, get off the starting blocks and lean into the process, because change, we are taught that change, people resist change. It's traumatic. It is in some ways, but we are actually innately programmed as human beings to grow and regenerate from the moment we're born. And so when we don't make transformation in our lives, we're actually going against nature to a large degree. And so it's actually unnatural to stay stuck. And what I teach people as well is how to find joy in
Mm,
healing, because
yeah.
it's deeply gratifying.
Your passion is clearly present and it drives your work. I mean, it's compelling to see how your enthusiasm undoubtedly helps motivate others to explore and to benefit from energy mastery. But why are you so passionate about this? Why are you so passionate about energy mastery?
I'm really passionate about it because it's the fastest and most sustainable way of effecting change in your life. So I sat in talk therapy for decades because of the work I did, but also because I loved it.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit of a therapy junkie. And I had great insight into my dynamics. I knew what was going on. It was cathartic to talk, but ultimately my life didn't shift. When I learned about energy, I went back to the energetic inception point of my trauma. The energetic inception point, the moment where that trauma began energetically, and being able to release the energetic root of my trauma made all the difference. And suddenly, instead of having to talk endlessly about my trauma, try and understand it from different vantage points, with the awareness of what it was, and being able to read energy, I was able to release the energetic root, and then the painful patterns disappeared. So it's much more sustainable, long lasting, and it's far quicker.
And Gabrielle, I'm a big believer in talk therapy,
Me too.
but it only can go so far. And I believe that modalities like energy healing, quantum hypnosis, EFT tapping, I believe that
Yes.
when you mix other modalities in with talk therapy, it actually helps the patient even more.
Agree, agree. I love talk therapy. I'm a big supporter of it. But I remember I was with one therapist for about 10 years. She was outstanding and she had a bit of a spiritual bent. And I remember her saying to me, somebody like you shouldn't be in therapy. You should be doing something spiritual because you're too in your head and you use your intellect, you use your mind as a defense.
Yes,
So, yeah,
no
so I
brainer.
think so I think, and I'm also a big believer in like an eclectic mix of modalities. I think they just enrich each other.
Yes,
And so talk therapy helps you gain immense self-awareness, and
yeah,
that's necessary. It's relieving, it's all of that. But if you layer and stack other modalities on, I also love tapping. I think it's instantaneous relief. EFT, when if you start working with different modalities, you can only deepen and enrich the journey.
that is so right, and I'm smiling because you're. It's like we're on the same frequency,
Yes.
and it's just so beautiful coming out of your mouth. Are there any particular tools or exercises that listeners can start using, like today, to support their energy?
Yes, I mean, there are. You don't have to be an energy master to master your energy. And of course, the more advanced techniques you use, the deeper it goes, the quicker it heals. So, the deeper you go, obviously, the more profound the healing. But there's a lot that we can do without that knowledge to shift our energy, to heal our energy, to protect our energy. I mean, let's maybe if we can double down on how do you protect your energy, because that's been very much up with the clients that I've been talking to lately. There's so many things that you can do just very pragmatically to protect your energetic field. For example, you can put up boundaries. You can work with boundaries. So learning to say no when you really, unrealistic demands are being put on you. If you work in the corporate world or any stressful work environment, learning how to unplug at the end of the day is
Mhm.
another way of putting around a boundary. Just being really careful about who you spend your time with, and being choosing your relationships, your friendships really wisely. Limiting information. So having a digital detox. I do that every night from 7 o'clock at night. I don't listen to my phone. It's off. Also being mindful of the information you consume, whether it be
Mhm.
news or social media.
Yes.
There's so many different ways that we can protect our energy and manage our energy in our day-to-day lives without having to learn fancy techniques.
And those two sound like they could be easily integrated into, like you
Easily.
said, our daily lives,
Yes.
really making a significant impact. But I want to go backwards a little bit. Digital detox. I absolutely agree with you. And more so, limiting negative frequencies, meaning listening to negative talk.
Yes.
Gabrielle, people will call you and dump all of their problems right in your lap. If you sit there on the phone and you listen to the yada, 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 the low vibrating energy coming your way because they're
Yes.
full of issues. But Gabrielle, you're this person that sits there with your friend on the phone and you just talk and you just listen to them. And every time they call you, oh my God, what story or what sad moment has happened in your life now? Some people stay in this frequency. Why is
Yes.
that?
Well, I mean, it's quite alluring to be talking about, kind of having a bit of a gossip, connecting with somebody on something that they're talking about. It's alluring to stay there. And a lot of people don't realize the damage that it causes. It's interesting you use that example of somebody who constantly phones you to grumble, complain. I had a friend who used to
Yes.
phone me and gossip all the time. And I got stuck. You asked what art for years. I not just listened, I actually participated in some of it. And then when I started working with my energy and my frequency, I came to understand just how destructive that was and tried to shift the dynamic, but it just didn't work. So the friendship took a different turn. And that's okay. And what you find, I guess I'm telling you the story as well, because when you start elevating your frequency and working out how those kinds of interactions really keep you in a low vibration, you start shifting things. Relationships can change when you're on a spiritual path, because the dynamics that kept you connected to people in the past no longer connect you. In fact, they feel more like a division. And
Yeah.
so I guess the message is, it's actually normal. It's perfectly normal. It's natural for relationships to morph, to change, and just get comfortable with that when you're on a spiritual journey.
Yeah, and I'm still nodding and smiling because
Hello.
you're saying some of the things that I share with my clients.
Yeah.
That nagger, that person who's calling and always has this low
Yes.
energy, continue to vibrate that much higher.
Yes.
Have this positive conversation while they're still down there. At some
Yes.
point, you will rise so far beyond them, they'll not want to call you because it doesn't. You seem
That's right.
different now, Gabrielle. You
That's
seem
right.
so happy all the time. I don't want to call you. I need for you to be kind of where I'm at. You're too raised in your vibration. They
Yes.
will stop calling you because
Yes.
you can continue to elevate. So when you said that, I smiled.
Well, actually, I'm going to build. I'm also smiling because what you're saying totally resonates, and it's just triggered a thought. I remember my spiritual teacher talking about energetic vibration as
Mhm.
like when you raise your vibration, it's like just imagine you're in an aeroplane 35,000 feet up in the air, and all the toxic dynamics you used to engage him on, are on the earth. And there's too much of a distance. Like they can try and throw stones at you at the aeroplane, but it's not going to touch the aeroplane. And very often you are so high that you totally are, they can't interact with you. It's a lovely metaphor. And the other thing that I've learned in relation to this is, when you start your spiritual journey and you're trying to protect your energy and you're trying to elevate your energy, a lot of us use crystals. And I
Mhm.
used to use crystals a lot, especially the dark crystals, like, smoky quartz I used to carry in my bag and sleep
Yeah.
with at night, because the dark crystals, absorb negative energy. But what you realize is if you raise your vibration, actually your vibration becomes your protection. You don't need crystals anymore because you're 35,000 feet up in the air. It protects you from all the riffraff, I guess, on planet Earth. And that would be a really important message. So raise your vibration because it becomes your protection. It becomes a natural barrier between you and the toxicity that you used to experience.
And I want the audience to know that Gabrielle and Jason, we're giving you some valuable tips, okay, without you paying for it. But I'm gonna give two more, and I'm
Go
gonna
for
stay
it.
on this whole raise your vibration. Here are two more tools that my spiritual teacher taught me, similar to this experience in the airplane, 75, 80,000 feet below. My spiritual teacher would tell me, imagine that the inside of your body was full of beaming, bright white light in that it encompassed your entire body. It says you visualize this, Jason. And once you do that, then the entire room, you visualize that it's pure white light. And then the entire neighborhood, and then the entire
Yes.
city, and then the
Yes.
entire earth. She said that's an
Yes.
instant raise your vibration technique. And one more is what we've been doing the whole time, smiling. The more you smile, the more you practice smiling
Yeah.
in your conversation, it is a instant vibration raiser, frequency raiser. Just smile, just be happy. Just, even when you're having a difficult conversation, I get it. You're mad. I get it. And I
Yes.
apologize. And let's just talk about this later because, hey, what good does it do with this, not grin, but with this raised smile, this
Yes.
vibration? And I was taught
Yes.
that too. So,
I love that. I've been taught a similar um, kind of exercise around, start from within, then go above the house you're in, then your neighborhood, then your
yes.
city. But you can actually amplify that because I like amplifying those sorts of things with different using the senses. So you can imagine, like you can, as your energy is moving, like for example over the earth, just feel it like rippling, over the earth. You can
Yeah.
actually imagine it infiltrating all the houses, all the animals, all the people walking in the streets, or
Mm.
and actually just like visualize it really just seeping in everywhere. And when we add different senses or sensations, then that really does amplify the experience as well.
So as an energy healer, and I know you've gone through this process, Gabrielle, we
Yeah.
first off, we heal ourselves before we can heal
Mhm.
anybody. Then this understanding of the peace within us, this intuition that we develop with practice, so
Yes.
that when we're working with
Yes.
other clients, we can sort of feel where the problems are.
Yes.
What are some of the common signs of energy blocks have you seen in clients?
Well, energy blocks form over time from childhood, and you've got an energy block when you've got this repetitive pattern in your life that you can't quite work out, you can't quite fix. You can talk about it, but nothing really shifts. So, in my case, I had an energy block related to my dad, came from when my dad was dying till, and his death. I had this terror related to loss, grief, and I walked around with the fear of loss for decades. And I
Mm.
was trapped in this terrible anxiety, which is why I was waiting for the other shoe to fall the whole time. And so I spoke about that in therapy, as I've already mentioned, but I couldn't quite shift the dial in my life. And that was because the energetic frequency was still in me. And so, you've got a block when you've got repetitive patterns that you can't quite fix, you can't quite work out, and you can't get a grip on.
Wow. Identifying those signs is crucial. It's
Yeah.
crucial for the client. I mean, it helps them become aware of their own blockages.
Yes.
And being aware
Yes.
is one of the first things that we try to get our clients to realize,
Yes.
self-identify. And when we can get them to self-identify the problem, it helps us help you
Yes.
that much better. And that
That's
is
right.
so awesome. How can a person prioritize their healing while tending to the practicalities of daily life?
They can do that by practicing very, very simple techniques that don't take time, that just take a little bit of focus for a couple of minutes a day. I can give you some very simple things that you can do. You're talking about the power of really of awareness. You can set an alarm clock on your mobile phone. You can set it 3 times a day, and when it rings, just for literally a minute, sit in a quiet space and ask yourself this very simple question: how am I feeling right now?
Yes.
Or, is my energy heavy or is it light? And just sit for a minute, and you can do that 3 times a day. The other way that you can integrate energy healing into a busy life is through your dreams, because we do a lot of healing in our sleep and a lot of healing through our dreams. And as you know, I'm passionate about dream work. I've been working with my dreams for decades, and it is a very efficient way to work through your sleep. But what you've got to do is you've got to move from just leaving dreams to chance to actually a more purposeful and an intentional use of our dream world. So that's something that anyone can do, because we all sleep and we all dream.
Yeah. Trying to balance that healing with those daily responsibilities, it's pretty
Tough.
much a challenge. It's tough, but
It's
those
very difficult. Yeah.
very difficult.
Yeah.
When you have a person who's facing or dealing with a major life transition. You know, how can energy mastery address those type of challenges?
Well, when you are going through a life transition, be that
Mhm.
change in relationship, change in job, maybe changing cities or countries, anything, okay?
Right.
When you're in a situation like that, you have to calls on you to be resilient. It calls on you because it's challenging. It's you're dealing with the unfamiliar, you're letting go, you're unlearning old ways of being, you're relearning and learning new ways of being. It's a bit of a tricky process. And so you have to be resilient. Now, most people think of resilience as bounce back ability, but if you think of it in an energetic context, think about that 35,000 feet up in the air, okay? That's aeroplane. You want to be able to raise your vibration, have your vibration at such a high frequency that when you're going through those transitions in life, you aren't affected as much by them. You're in the aeroplane. Or if you are affected by them, you kept down for very, very short. You're able to rise up again. So it's really about raising your vibration so that when adversity strikes, you come from a higher base and you're not pulled down with it. So that's how energy work relates to change and transformation and transitions.
So when I'm performing galactic energy healing, you mentioned that energy mastery is Reiki on steroids. Galactic energy healing typically doesn't deal with the natural energy that's coming to the earth, that's being to the earth, and the
Yeah.
Reiki practitioners tap into.
Yeah.
So we channel this energy,
Yes.
by going through the crown chakra down to the heart
Yes.
space, through the
Yes.
portal in the heart space into a beautiful place, into a Amazon jungle, beautiful jungle, and we call on different beings that are in different dimensions that have healing methods and healing patterns that we can use. We draw the patterns and we push them to the client. And some people may say, well, what you doing? What? Yeah, just like you can, I'm sure that you can use the energy mastery technique and use a photo and heal through the picture.
Mm.
We've been taught that in galactic energy healing, and I guess my question to you is, what are some of the differences? Not differences, because you're saying it is Reiki on steroids, but what makes it so much more powerful
Yeah.
than using the Reiki method? And Reiki
Yes.
is popular.
It's very
So
popular. It's
yes.
very popular. And look, I'm not a Reiki master myself, but a number of people who I studied with are. So that comparison came from them.
Right.
So we also use divine energy. We
Yes.
channel divine energy. But what makes this so powerful is that we use advanced sacred geometry to do it.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, we work with Sri Yantra, the Metatron's cube, really complex geometric structures with very high energetic vibrational frequencies. And what we do when we work with them is they become an adapter. They actually channel, they house the energy for us. And so we can channel more energy, and therefore our healings are more potent, but also we don't tire as much because we're not drawing from our human energy. We've got this incredibly divine structure within and around us that's doing the work for us. And so that's how it works. That's why it's so powerful. I've also got sacred geometry that allows me to go to the ascended master's plane, which is, you call on ascended beings, that allows me to go to the angelic realm, and allows me to call on very specific archangels to actually bring them into the healing, not by intention only, but using sacred geometry. And so the sacred geometry allows us to access sacred places very quickly. And of course, that makes all the difference.
It does, and it's just music to my ears, and it's
Mm-hmm.
similar to galactic energy healing, but it sounds like it's more powerful as well. To that technique as well. But you know what? It's all good for people that it resonates with. So I am
Exactly.
excited to share it. What advice do you have for the listeners who might be skeptical about energy healing or its effectiveness?
Well, I would say to them, firstly, I come from a long line of Western medical doctors, and I have great respect for
Mhm.
Western medicine. really not somebody who disses it at all. What I will say is that these alternative healing techniques, like energy healing, like acupuncture, all of these techniques, they've been around for thousands of years and they've endured without clinical trials. They haven't been put through pharma trials. They've endured through the experience of the clinical observation, the experience of the patient having been at point A before and then at point B after. So they've endured not through clinical trials, but through clinical observation. And that's a very legitimate form of evidence as well. So I'd say that. And I'd also say to people that go have a look at the website of the Cleveland Clinic, as just an example. All of these, not all of them, but a number of these big hospitals are using Reiki, they are using acupuncture. It's on their websites as complementary healings because the whole field of integrative medicine has blown up in such a big way. And the world is awakening to the connection between the mind and the body and the spirit. So I'd say that. And then the other thing I'd say is actually, if this isn't your jam, that's also okay. You don't have to, this isn't for everybody. And so, I wouldn't try and convince them too hard either.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, can you share with the audience, your website and what are you
Yes.
offering, and just tell people, about your programs and how they can get in contact with you.
Thanks, Jason. Well, if you go onto my website, it's generative.growth.com.au, and there's a whole bunch of ways to get hold of me there. But on the front page, there's a 20-minute guided experiential masterclass, let me put it that way, where I talk about your future self and how to embody the energy of your future self and then take you through an experience of it. So it is an experience of bringing in the energetic frequency of your future self, which is great for manifestation and other things. So there's that. That's a freebie. I've got this 28-day, it's a small group program. It's 4 weeks. It's a bite-sized transformation, 28 days. We immerse you in one big issue that you want to heal in your life, and we release it for good. And it's actually, there is a price, but it's very, very cheap, especially for Americans. And it's something that's done in a group setting, but you get kind of individualized attention at the same time. And so it's the 28 Days to Healing program. When you throw love and, focused attention on your biggest problems, they dissolve. And I give you a month and guarantee that we shift one big issue in your life. So that's my flagship program.
Tell them one more time the website.
www.generative.growth.com.au.
Got you. And you do online sessions?
In fact, it's pretty much all online. So I've got sacred geometry, as Reiki masters also do, to do remote healings where I bring your energetic body in front of me and I work that way. So everything is online.
And energy transfers. We can work with energy anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. Exactly. Wow. Exactly.
Awesome, Gabrielle. What words of wisdom or encouragement do you have for individuals who are currently feeling stuck and seeking to harness the power of energy to bring about change in their life?
Well, I'd say to them, it's never too late, because I was 50 when I made the most fundamental change in my life, when I let go of the biggest block that had been holding me back, that invisible handbrake. So it's never too late to lean in and change. And energy runs the show. So if you want faster change, if you want more permanent change, go the energy route.
Wow.
Bit of a shameless plug for energy work.
I mean, it's motivating. No, it's motivating to hear how they can overcome. I mean, just to hear stories of people that were stuck as well, or feeling stuck, and just starting to make positive changes within their own life. Sometimes you hear a show or a friend refers you to a practitioner, and then it just opens you up, and it's because you were in the right place and you heard the right thing. So I really admire people who have gone through things but figured out a way to pull themselves out of it.
It's wonderful. Yes, we can all
Absolutely.
do that. We can, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Awesome. Okay, Gabrielle, thank you for being a guest on the expansion of consciousness. We really enjoyed it and would love to have you come back to talk more in detail about, maybe we'll pick one area the next time,
Lovely.
and then we'll just focus in on that.
Yes.
Because sometimes, there are, and we didn't talk about it, and I know this because I practice energy healing as well. There are different types. Like if you're working with someone and it's strictly post-traumatic stress disorder, so you have a tailored plan that you're working with them on that, or it may be depression, or it may be someone's dealing with some type of mental illness. So I know that we could expand this conversation, and you're just
Wonderful.
trying to give people a small bite of what actually energy mastery is, and I really appreciate
Exactly.
that.
Oh, well, I appreciate being here, Jason, and thank you for hosting such a wonderful forum and for allowing people to get their voices out and for other people to be helped. So I'm very, very grateful. Thank you.
Also, and Gabrielle's information will be in the show notes, and we'll get that information out to you guys when the show airs, and all the website and all her social media handles will be there. Gabrielle, don't go anywhere. I'm gonna move you to the back as I close this out. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Wow. Okay, guys. We're gonna unpack this a little bit, and we're gonna conclude it. But fabulous, fabulous. We've had many people on the show that are energy healers, but each one of them, they have a unique way of how they deliver their method of energy healing. But as we conclude our enlightening conversation with Gabrielle Pimstone, we're just reminded of the profound impact that understanding and mastering our energy can have on our lives. And you have to understand that. But if today's discussion resonated with you, and you're feeling inspired to make a change, consider exploring energy mastery further. Gabrielle's insights and practices could be the key to unlocking a new chapter in your life, filled with growth, purpose, and happiness. And I just want to thank you, Gabrielle, for sharing your expertise and passion with us, because I could see the passion in you. And to our listeners, remember that every small step towards understanding your energy is a leap towards a richer, more fulfilling life. Join us next time as we continue to explore paths to personal and spiritual growth on the expansion of consciousness. Until then, stay energized and be the best you can be yourself. 3 things I want to leave you with: trust, relax, and discover. Thank you very much. Good night.